Hello, everyone. Today we are joined by Mr. Jatin Mahajan, Managing Director of Mitra and Company, India's pioneering in vitro diagnostic company that has been serving lives through science for over 5 decades. A second generation entrepreneur and one of the most respected voices in India's medtech sector, Jatin has led Mitra to become a global diagnostics powerhouse with exports to over 45 countries and more than 55 patents to its credit. Beyond his corporate role, he serves as the president of the Association of Diagnostic Manufacturers of India, ADMI, and holds leadership positions in key industry bodies like AIMED, and the Export Promotion Council for Medical Devices. Known for his advocacy of indigenous innovation, digital transformation, and regulatory reforms, Jatin represents the new phase of Indian diagnostics, one that is decentralized, digitalized, and democratized. Pleasure to host you today, Jatinji.
Thank you, Sangeet for your kind introduction and your kind words. It's a pleasure to be here online.
Right. So let me straight get into my first question, Jatinji. Mitra was founded in 1969 and has pioneered IVD in India. What, in your view, has been the company's biggest contribution to healthcare?
So thank you for asking this question. In fact, I am asked this question quite a lot. And I would say that, there have been many pivots to the success of our company. When we started our company, so my father had this vision of making kits in India. In fact, he was the first person in the industry to make such diagnostic kits being made available in India. He wanted to make it. He wanted to make it in India so that we can become self-reliant. Right. Long before this slogan of being Atmanirbhar came into practice. So whatever he did, he kept in mind that it should have a social impact. So right. Be it the infectious disease, be it the pregnancy test. In fact, I would say that we were the first company in India to come out with the pregnancy test at that point in time. Right. So so we had a pregnancy strip as well as the cart test at that point in time. Then as time progressed and as the market kind of changed its requirement, so we came into the infectious disease segment, which is the HIV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. So there also we somehow addressed the unmet need of the customer. So there were many first, or you would say many innovations that we had brought about in the particular product, and because of which, we enjoy a kind of a trust among the customers in terms of the thyroid being the gold standard in the diagnostic range of products. So as we go forward, I would like to share that there are basically 4 business ethos or pivots that we generally look at. So one is the aspect of innovation. Right. Second one is intellectual property rights. Then the third one is customer orientation. And the fourth one is in terms of quality, because the combination of these 4 pivots is what makes the product a remarkable or unbeatable product, and that's the impact it has on the customer side.
Your company has over 55 patents, and you also export to 45 plus countries. So, Jatinji, what is the secret behind sustaining this level of innovation and the global competitiveness for an Indian company like Mitra, and you have been successful in India as well as abroad? So, if you can throw some light on that.
So, as you're aware, we are founded in 1969, and the company is R&D led and R&D driven, which means that whatever products we are making, we
Yeah.
do a very detailed deep dive in terms of what technology is acceptable in the market, what are the unmet needs of the customer, what are his exact requirements, whether stated or unstated. And that's what is the reason that we have a very good IP. In fact, there are very few IVD companies which are R&D led and R&D driven companies. Now, as you're also aware, 70% of the clinician decisions are based on these diagnostic tests. So it's very important that whatever the end result is, it is showing accurate and precise results each and every time when the customer uses our product. And that is one of the reasons that, as I talked about the four pivots, quality, innovation, then we talk about intellectual property and then customer orientation. Now these are the pivots around which we always, at the back of our mind, we work. And then, when we meet our customer, the first thing is what is working and what is not working, so that we have a deep dive in terms of, you know what how good our product is in terms of the performance. Then the other part is the validations of the products. We make sure that the product is validated not only nationally but internationally as well, because uh, it is very important that the product conforms to certain quality standards. So whether it's a WHO PQ standard or whether it's a CE requirement, so we try to meet those requirements. And of course, recently, ICMS has come up with its own performance quality requirements. So we are quite confident that we would be able to meet those requirements also, because we have been working tirelessly. And believe me that, whether it's a rapid or a ELISA or a CLIA or a FIA, with these technologies, we've been working tirelessly for more than 25, 30 years. So
Great.
we understand the nuts and bolts of this technology. So tomorrow, if somebody says that we want to come up, why don't you make this product? And if it matches with our vision, we will be very comfortable in introducing those kind of products, because as you're aware also, if you have to work from scratch, a product takes around 3 to 5 years to actually commercialize and launch this product, because there are many experimentation and stages which the product undergoes. If you look at the series, the technology readiness level series, from level one or so on, and then you have to commercialize. So when we go through these stages, we do a very rigorous evaluation of our products, and that's how we enjoy such a tremendous trust and goodwill among our customers, that whatever new products, they accept it with blind.
Very well, so very well. So, when it comes to the Indian diagnostic industry, in your view, how much uh, does companies spend compared to the global peers? Spend on innovation and R&D.
So I think this is an area that's a very good question. In fact, I would say it's a very strategic question.
Yeah,
Uh, that's an area of working, and I think it's a question which is work in progress. From the pandemic, if you see, the government also understands what diagnostic or IVD sector is all about. So
yeah,
they have also understood that why diagnostics is pivot to the health and wellness of an individual. And from time to time, they have introduced certain policies which will actually be very fruitful, or it will strengthen the working of the industry. Now, if you look at the data, the percentile of the contribution which the company has towards R&D or
yeah,
innovation is very less compared to
yeah.
the global standards.
Yes,
But I think, if you look at the traditional or the practices, R&D here is of two types. One is the basic and the other one is applied. Generally in India, what we do is mostly in the category of applied. But then I would say that, as I mentioned previously, that it's still work in progress. There are few diagnostic companies which understand the strategic importance of R&D, and now instead of taking R&D as a cost center,
Yeah.
they think of R&D as an investment which is acting as a seed, and the fruits will be born sometime in the near future. So those, you can say, mindset shifts are changing, but it will take some time. Also, the government is announcing a lot of policies in this regard also.
Yeah.
So recently, the government has announced PRIP scheme, in
Yeah.
which to strengthen up the component manufacturing. Because if you look at the diagnostic product, there are more than 20 components which go into the building of the diagnostic, which is a finished good product.
Yeah.
So government understands, and whether the critical components is like whether it's an antigen, antibody, whether it's brain, or critical components like buffer. So or even in ELISA, so the ELISA plates. So they are now incentivizing and telling the industry to come forward and build up these components so that uh, in next 10 years we can become self-reliant. And there are many things that I think is happening even in the startup space. So there are innovations which are happening, and I think the startups need to work in a way, in a structured way, wherein they can take inputs from the industry. And I think that's where what we say, that collaboration between startups and the industry should happen. And maybe ADMI, which is the Association of Diagnostic Manufacturers of India, can play a pivotal role here to act as a bridge between the startups and the industry, and and get those innovations onto the table. Now, having said that, we also have to understand that when we look at science or we look at biotechnology, it's
Yeah.
a high capital intensive area, and it's a
Yeah.
high risk area, and not many companies can invest in this sector. So this risk needs to be mitigated. So if there is a R&D fund or a innovation fund
Yeah.
by the government, wherein they encourage companies to come forward and take funding from there, that will also act as a kind of a mitigation, where companies are encouraged to take risk and and introduce innovative products in the marketplace. So I believe that things are changing. It's, as I said, it's work in progress, and I think uh, the future is bright. The companies understand this, and I think in next 5 to 10 years we will see some good innovations coming out of the industry as well.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Jatinji, you have often spoken about the three Ds, that is decentralization, digitalization, and democratization of diagnostics. So, can you explain how these three Ds will redefine the diagnostic healthcare access?
Okay. So if you look at, as I said, that if you look at the equation, it is doctor,
Yeah.
diagnostics, and then treatment. And
Yeah.
that's how the equation is. So
Yeah.
70% of the clinician decisions are still based on the diagnostic test.
Yeah.
And what shift we see worldwide is what we have discussed earlier, is point of care testing and more of a personalized medicine. So when we look at point of care testing, let's take a scenario of a rural area. So I'm not talking about metros, because metro, we are highly populated, and in every nook and corner we have a lab available. So
Yeah.
access, in terms of access, it is there. But once we go into rural areas, there is no access. The
Yeah.
quality of infrastructure drops, and now the thought process is to have point of care testing near the patient so that the treatment can start immediately. Now imagine a scenario where a person is in Varanasi, for example, has to come to Lucknow for diagnosis, okay, what is the problem, and then the treatment. So from Varanasi, the gentleman would have to come with some of the family members,
Yeah.
stay in the hotel or a
Yeah.
lodge, get the diagnostic test done, show
Yeah.
the report, come back to Varanasi, show the report to the doctor. Doctor will say if the infrastructure is not there in Varanasi, come back to Lucknow and then get admitted to the hospital, and then the treatment will start. Now, if you add the number of layers and number of steps involved here,
Yeah.
now with personalization, which is point of care testing near patient use,
Yeah.
the kit, like for example, Mitra also has, for the first time in Southeast Asia, home test for dengue. So, which means basically the patient can use the test at the privacy of the home
Right.
and see whether uh, they are reactive for dengue or not. Once they get, or any other disease like which is available, like pregnancy also is there. So the lady at the comfort of her home can see whether she's pregnant or not. And then once that indication is there, then go to the doctor and show the results, and then immediately take the treatment.
Yeah.
So the 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 person accompanying the patient, that costing is saved, and the other cost associated, which is from out of the pocket expense, because in India, still the insurance is not there. It is very underpenetrated, and 60 to 70% of of the hospital cost is from the out of pocket expense of the patient. So these are some of the challenges. So coming back, so when we look at democratization, so instead of coming to the main lab, when you have a test available at the privacy of their homes, it means giving the patient more power,
Yeah.
more choices, so that they are able to take informed decisions at that particular time. And what we have seen also is that this model has been very successful in the pandemic times. For example, in telemedicine, quantum care has been deployed very nicely when we use telemedicine.
Yeah.
And the doctor is sitting maybe in Delhi and the patient is in Varanasi again. Through telemedicine, once they show the results, they get treatment also. So all kind of care they get through the telemedicine approach model. I think that this model is something that in coming times, in next 5 to 10 years, the market will shift. Like we also have the HbA1c test, like
Yeah.
the glucometer. So monitoring test, we will see a lot of monitoring tests will come into effect, wherein the patient will monitor like the glucose will monitor certain diseases, and depending upon the situation, then will go to the doctor as per the requirements. What we are also seeing is that even the medicines are becoming personalized, because one pill will not suit each and every one, because the biology of the patient is very different. You have a different biology, I have a different biology, and everybody has different biology, which means the reaction of the tablet or a capsule will be very different. So it is becoming more and more personalized, and that is what pattern or a trend we are seeing in the global north. And gradually, I think that this will also come inside India and in India. And we are seeing this shift happening. So that is where we see that diagnostics ultimately will become more and more personalized.
Great. So you spoke about the three Ds of diagnostics, and I wanted to add one more D, or I wanted to ask the question of one more D, that is the distribution channel. So, do you think, though, that the online platforms such as Medica Bazaar could be detrimental to the traditional distribution channels that we have in the industry?
I think it's a strategic question, and I think that it also depends upon the intent of the company and the vision of the company. Because if you look at a strategic point of view, what online aggregators bring onto the table, the traditional channel doesn't offer that. When we look at the last mile reach, that online aggregators like Medical Bazaar,
Yeah.
they are able to offer, unlike the traditional channel that we look at.
Hmm.
I believe that online channel, if they are properly regulated, or the scope is defined between the company and the online, and it's a win-win situation, then it can be a very positive enabler for both of them, because company also has certain limitation in terms of the capital, in terms of reach. That is where the online aggregators will come in, like Medica Bazaar, and they will be able to fulfill the requirements of the end customer uh, in the best possible manner. So I believe that a hybrid model will be here to stay. Like for example, we have the Swiggy or the Blinkit, so we can
Yeah.
go to the store, but then what these online aggregators do is offer convenience.
Yeah.
So I think what the online aggregators like Medica Bazaar do is offer convenience
Yeah.
in those places where it is hard to reach or difficult to reach.
Yeah.
So I think holistically, if we look at this kind of a strategic, play of works, I think, and it is being used effectively, it will add a win-win situation to both the players. Please.
Yes. Yes. For sure. Right. So, can you share with us the story behind the breakthrough products such as the dengue day one test or iQuant portable diagnostic platform?
Okay. So, dengue day one. So, the interesting thing, in fact, it's a good question. We have, if you look at our history, we have never been a company which is launched the product for the, initially. We have been one of the late entrants into the marketplace. So,
Yeah.
whether we look at dengue day one, or we look at tridots also. So, let me first, and then I'll come to the fluorescence immunoassay as well. So Tridot, when we had launched way back in 1985,
Yeah.
we commissioned a study by a consulting firm, and they submitted a report that we were the ninth player, and the market was at that point in time highly, highly dominated by MNC companies. So we were number nine, and gradually, we worked our way up, and we kind of met the needs of the customer. So one thing unique that what we had introduced right out was a differential detection system between the HIV-1 and HIV-2.
Yeah.
And even the competitors laugh. Why are you introducing an HIV-2 dot, wherein you just need to indicate a dot, because these are all screening tests.
Yeah.
We said no. People, when they use our product, customers should know whether it's a HIV-1 and HIV-2, for the very simple reason that the treatment for HIV-1 and HIV-2 is very, very different. Maybe they are part of the same family, but the treatment part, it's very different. And in western part of the country, Maharashtra, Mumbai, fortunately there's a lot of tourist traffic, and we get cases of HIV-2 from those particular areas. And when our kid caught it, there were MNC companies which were not able to even pick up HIV-2. And then again, as I had explained, in my few minutes back, question, we were subject to lot of scrutiny. Why is your kid picking up two, and whereas the other kids? We were then subjected to Western laws and test kits of a different principle. But the beauty is we got the correct results. So through the Western blot and through a test kit of a different principle, it matched with the quality that and the result that was there in Trident, and that's how gradually,
Yeah.
people, getting confidence, and over a period of time, from confidence, it is the trust which we in fact enjoy. Now,
Yes.
in some parts of the country, it is called as the gold standard in
Yes.
HIV testing.
Yes.
With some of my customers, when I meet, they say, we confirm the ELISA results from the rapid test, which is our HIV drug. So this
Thyroid.
is what the success factor in Tridot is. So, but this thing I'm sharing in a very short story, but the overnight success for Tridot was also not less than 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Now coming to Dengue Day One,
Yeah.
when we had launched Dengue Day One, we were not the first company to introduce Dengue Day One. We were the third company again to launch this product. And again, as I said, the market was dominated. Now, please understand here, dengue is a problem of the tropic zone. So,
Yeah.
India had dengue. And one of the challenges in diagnostics is that if the product is imported, then the customers have this limitation of being dependent on the imports, and then there are other issues because the MNC company does not make it only for India, it makes it
Yeah.
for the rest of the other markets as well. So
Yes.
sometimes there are challenges of
Yeah.
non-availability of the MNC products. Now coming back here, the beauty of this Denki Day One was that it was in collaboration with ICGEB,
Yeah.
and the lead who uh, created this product also, it was in collaboration between Mitra and ICGEB, and Dr. Naveen Khanna, who actually spearheaded this project. He
Yeah.
was awarded Padam Shri for his notable contribution to the diagnostic test kits by the government of India. So
Wonderful.
you can imagine, the kind of contribution and the societal impact this kit had created for a country like India. And the teams that worked on this particular product, NS1, like it
Yeah.
is able to pick up the disease on day one of
Yes.
the disease. So we enjoyed tremendous, again, the same principle was replicated here, and we enjoy a tremendous support from the marketplace. And I'll be very happy to share that in nature, as I said, that our products are evaluated, and we ourselves get the products validated from third party, not only from India but from the world. So there was a particular study published in Nature where it is mentioned that the quality of NS1 is better than WHO PQ products which is available in the country or in the world. So that's a big vote of confidence by
Yeah.
an organization which is independent, and that's talks about the efforts which our team has put into the products. Now the other part is the fluorescence amino assay. This is basically a point of care testing. Now point of care testing is of two types. One is for professional use, and one is for personal use.
Yeah.
Now this is something that we had worked uh, in the market, and there were inputs given by our customers also that they need a solution of this type, because what is happening is that most of the customers, the 70% customer, is outside the metro cities. In
Yeah.
fact, if you look at the data also, 30% of the population is in metro cities.
Yeah.
And if you look at all the metro cities, they have the best of the infra. But the
Yeah.
moment you go even 1 kilometer outside the metro cities, the infrastructure drops like anything.
Right.
Now, this was again in collaboration with IIT Madras. And what we actually did was to configure a product which is actually made for the rural customers. So this
Right.
was one such product where it was very portable. In case of a camps, we have a PHC, community health centers, or ASHA work. They
Yeah.
can carry it because it was very lightweight. Then
Yeah.
it had a data stack also. So like They could record data. So whatever results are there, it could be recorded in this point
Yeah.
of care machine device. Then it had a portable battery inbuilt into this device itself. So, like for example, on a full charge, it had more than 5 hours of use. So we have the electricity, which is a big problem in the rural areas. There is no certainty as far as the electricity
Yeah.
is concerned. So it was designed keeping in mind the unmet needs. Nobody, in fact, talked about that. We need a portable battery so that we could do these tests even in such a condition. Then another beauty of this product was it can be used by a 8th pass candidate or a 10th pass candidate or a 12th pass candidate. So we require no skilled manpower. Now, if you see, most of the challenges in running a complicated medical device equipment is that they have a lot of these buttons, and you need a qualified technician
Yeah.
to run these machines. So this was a simple machine which could be run very simply. And even if you want, you could have a data backup. Then for the first time, what we did was that we, through the internet, we could do a remote diagnosis. So if somebody used to say that, this is having a technical error, through remote, through remote control, through the internet and to the remote part, we could diagnose this particular machine and actually correct it without a service engineer coming physically into the remote part. So these were some of the advantages that we had in FIA, something unique, unheard of at that point in time. And then, what we do also is that, we understand our Indian customers is very price sensitive.
Yeah.
So when we look at the three A's: availability, affordability, and accessibility. That is something we swear by.
Yeah.
And we have this combination of products which is not easily available. These are
Yeah.
products which are of priority to the Indian customers, and as a package, then it is easily accessible and available because the demand is there for the diagnostic range of products. So this is what is some of the relentless, you can say, pursuit of what we regularly engage with our customers in terms of the four ethos that I had explained a few minutes back.
Your voice has a lot of conviction about your quality, much more than when I speak to someone else. You sound a lot more passionate and with a lot of conviction you're talking. That's very admirable, Jatinji.
No, thank you, Sankitji, because that's what have been ingrained into my system DNA also. Like when I started my journey also, so that is the first thing my family told me. My father told me that there are certain do's and certain don'ts. So
Right.
quality is something that needs to be given the highest priority. So that
Yeah.
is how, with conviction, because at each and every stage, that is what we imbibe with each and every team member also. So that's how it reflects, when we speak. That's
Yes.
how, we work.
Yes. Great. And, Jatinji, next, my thought was about the industry as a whole. As our industry is growing, companies are becoming bigger. Do you believe that the private equity and the venture capital fund houses will start showing greater interest in India's IVD sector, and probably what we could do to make the sector more attractive to them?
No, I think, it is a very good question. It's a strategic question because as we speak also, uh, it is one of the hottest trending sectors in the industry space right now. A lot of PE, a lot of VCs have expressed interest in investing in companies.
Yeah.
Now there is a catch here. Now what are they looking at? They're looking at the business model of the company.
Yeah.
So what is the growth? They understand one thing, that it is a sunrise industry,
Yeah.
and for next decades, couple of decades, there is going to be growth only. Now, if you look at the cordless model also, there's the growth is going to be for decades, and there's not going to be any decline. So, having said that, we look at the industry. We are the country which has the youngest population. So, all the demographic parameters, or in terms of the growth, in terms of hospital, everything is a positive in the checklist of the VCs and PEs.
Yeah.
And when we look at the companies, what they're looking at is what is the growth of the company, what is the business model, which I said a few minutes back, how effectively is it going to earn uh, not only sales but the EBITDA,
Mm.
or the profit after tax. That is something they're looking at,
Yeah.
and they're keen to invest also to build up this particular attribute.
Yeah.
Then, what is the mix of products which is going to be the cash cow
Yeah.
in times to come? So there are these finer aspects of uh, each and every company, and they evaluate from their own lens. Let's be very clear. So the industry is strong, it is the growth trajectory, but then they will evaluate each and every company from these aspects. Maybe there are more, but
Yeah.
these are some of the few critical attributes, and also they look at one intangible part is how is the owner promoter, like how is the alignment between the owner and promoter. If the alignment is good, then they also uh, are willing to give operational flexibility or a freedom, but again depending upon the alignment part, which I come in quotes. So they know very clearly that this sector will give them a huge growth, unlike the other sectors which are in the mature phase.
It's
This
okay.
is still in the infancy stage right now, and I'm sure that given their expertise, global networks, and connections, they will use this base, India as a base, or a company as a base, not only for India but for the rest of the world. So if you look at a big picture, there are more than 200 countries. Why not be a supplier or go global supplier to the 200 countries which are there? Because everybody needs diagnostics.
Yeah.
And given their relationship with the global companies, I think they can collaborate and use this company as a greenfield project or a brownfield project, or a hybrid model, and do wonders for all the stakeholders in the value chain.
Yeah, you spoke about the diagnostic being the sunrise industry, and probably there that is attracting these VCs and equity funds. On the other side, since you have the pulse of the people who are the frontliners of the industry, the front runners of the industry, uh, what's the sense of acceptance for a fund? What's the level of need that they are expressing, and whether that also involves diluting some of the controls in their organization? So do you think the entrepreneurs in our industry are open to that kind of a situation?
It's a very good and a strategic question, Sangeet ji. But then I also say that it is company specific, uh, and depending upon the founder, uh, owner of the company, and the intent of uh, you know what vision they have. This answer can be answered by them. Now, whichever model, so as I've explained previously, there are many models. Depending upon what the owner promoter is bringing onto the table and what the VCs or PPEs are bringing onto the table. Now, there can be very many models. For example, Is the promoter looking at the valuation game?
Yeah.
Then the model will be different. Is the owner promoter saying that, look, I have reached a certain age and my next generation is not interested to carry on the business? Now, in that case also, if the promoter wants the legacy to continue,
Yeah.
this method of having a PE or a VC, so that the board can be professionalized, the management can be professionalized, can act as a mediator. So
Yeah.
these are, and then the third one is like what we see in startups is that uh, the model which is maybe built up a business for a certain number of years, have a certain turnover, and then completely sell off the business and
Yeah.
nothing to do with the industry per se.
Yeah.
Now, all these three models, if you see, have
Yeah.
happened in our industry because, you know, I am aware of these companies, but because they are my friends, I can't, say it here.
Yeah.
But these models are actively
Yeah.
being utilized in our industry. So depending on the intent of the owner promoter, it's
Yeah.
a very individualist and a personal choice of them. So this
Right.
is what I would say. But I've shared some of the roadmaps which
Yeah.
can be exercised by them.
So you spoke about your dad, your family. So you represent the second generation at J Mitra, right? So what inspired you to continue and expand the legacy?
So when I started my journey,
Yeah.
my the interesting thing is that I was not given the present position. He told me that it is something to be earned. I
Right.
mean, there's no entitlement. So
Yeah.
as a as an owner, I had to work my way up. And I do understand that we are a family in business, but then everything needs to be earned. And
Yeah.
some of the ethos that I had explained a few minutes back is
Yeah.
something that is deeply ingrained into my system,
Yeah.
like whether it is intellectual property. In fact, I am also patent holder for one of the inventions which I have made.
Oh,
Then,
wonderful.
in terms of quality, in terms of the other attributes. So this is
Yeah.
something which we don't compromise on at any point in time. So I have had in my interactions, whether I've met all my stakeholders. So in my initial days, I met customers who are very unsatisfied because
Right.
the reason why they were unsatisfied is because their level of standards, they used to say very clearly, we expect that since you are an Indian company, they expected a very high standard. So, and they're right. So, that was a challenge for me that, to how to convert their idea into action. And when they said that, we expect it to be here, not here, then, I have to go back to the drawing table, talk to my team that, this is what the expectation of the customer is, and this is
Yeah.
what they are expecting from us. And then I demand the same high standards from my team that this is something that we have to work, and this is the cutoff. And that's what is you can say, the driving factors. And then many other things. In fact, I am the one of the family members who has done his MBA, the first in my family. Otherwise, my family is a family of engineers. So we were
Okay.
doing very well. In fact, uh, whether it's a clinical, so we were there as I mentioned, in clinical chemistry. Before that, I mentioned in pregnancy. So we were doing very well, and then we were in the infectious disease. So all these categories were doing very well. But
Yeah.
where I thought, when I spoke to my father was that
Yeah.
can I build up systems? He agreed because that is where he said that you can contribute. So I contributed in my own way to build up the system, the workflows, the process. And in fact, he encouraged me to do a lot of the short-term courses, executive courses, like
Oh.
so there was one family course in ISB, which is based in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
So I was packed off and sent to that that short-term course, executive
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
wherein I imbibe, so the best practices of what a family business should be doing,
Yeah.
and that's how uh, that I imbibed. So I learned that, and then I inculcated that into the DNA of the company, imbibed the systems. Journey definitely was challenging and is challenging because changing mindset, changing behaviors is not easy. But then with relentless conviction, passion, and with the right team, people on board, you can make a big difference. So the challenge also is with respect to the legacy company. So we are
Yeah.
a legacy company. So
Yeah.
since, as I mentioned, yes, since 1969, we are the oldest diagnostic company in India. We are
Mm.
55-plus-year-old company. Uh, we have made such a big contribution to the Indian economy. In fact, it has such a big impact that taking it forward, building up the legacy is one of my biggest challenges that I
Yeah.
have. Secondly, is how to make sure that it is relevant. So, like the company becomes relevant
Yeah.
to the young audience. So we have
Yeah.
different generations. So like, if we are sitting in 2025,
Yeah.
we have four generations in a company. Now the motivation of these four generations is very unique and very different.
Yeah.
Somebody wants, everybody has its own value system. So
Yeah.
how as a company you're able to blend it and have that kind of a value system, and what will attract them is the unique selling proposition. I, as one of the senior leaders in the company, I strive to work upon, uh, every day when I am working in the company.
Superb. And you've been leading J Mitra for over 20 years now, I think.
Yes, yes.
And so, what have been the most defining moments of your leadership journey, Jatinji?
So as I mentioned a few minutes back, I have to, live and breathe my ethos, whether it's intellectual property,
Yeah.
whether it is customer orientation, whether it is quality. So
Yeah.
these things, I have to imbibe, and
Yeah.
and then sometimes when you have those critical or difficult moments, this is the filter I have to, take my decisions, on. Is it
Yeah.
easy? No, certainly it's not easy. But the beauty is that my father and my family supports me, and we look at the long term. Maybe we have short term pain, but long term, the ideology is very very clear. And we have had such pivots, even in my journey. When I meet customers, sometimes they are very, I mean, as I said, they're very unhappy, when, and they give me the truest form, that, this is not what we are expecting from a company like yours. So, it does impact me. And, we want to do better. And I think, the most recent one which I can recollect is COVID-19,
Yeah.
wherein, we had very challenging time. I think nowhere in the history of mankind, in our own history, that we had this pandemic. Everything was under lockdown. Now, one thing which was very difficult was the businesses got impacted. We The business was very low,
Yeah.
and the decision which was taken by me, and it was supported by my board also, was that the salary should be paid on time. So we have this philosophy principle that in the fourth week of every month, we should pay our salary. So from 1969, this practice is prevailing
Yeah.
until today, and in the times to come, that salary, whether the company performs or not performs, will be paid on time. So we did not retrench anyone
Oh, very good.
during the pandemic. So
Yeah.
that kind of difficult decisions we made, And
Yeah.
definitely, we were also reciprocated. The blessings came in. So, from the team side, they understood that, the company's business is impacted, but they also contributed in their own big way, which is like, they worked tirelessly when we had to introduce COVID. There were, these passes. And believe me, when I look at their stories, how they were, they made, a lot of deviations in coming to office, because they were stopped in each and every moment. They were questioned in spite of the passes. Why
Yeah.
you're coming? We had to They had to tell very clearly that we are under the category of emergency services, and we if we don't contribute now, when will we contribute?
Yeah.
People, people, especially our team, they did this part, and I also used to come regularly just to motivate. And
Yeah.
I mean, the immense support. So that kind of encouragement and the association and the bonding is something I can't quantify. It's intangible. Very difficult to share those emotions and feelings. That what I got. People work tirelessly. In fact, they stay in the office at times. Just to make sure that the patch is complete. I have not seen that kind of thing. Anywhere in my career.
Yeah.
So these are the pivotal moments, and very very personal. And in fact, the part that some of these people also got impacted. They contracted COVID-19, but we were there for them. So whatever support we could give as a company side, we
Yeah.
we gave to them. So I think this is one of the defining things. Then also what we have done is, whether it's a forward integration or backward integration with respect to particular product. So when
Yeah.
we now look at a particular product, we do both backward and a forward integration. We make
Yeah.
sure that we are not restricted ourselves to a particular geography or a particular country. So we
Yeah.
make sure that the risks are mitigated, and we define our risk, so that at no point in time we are being held to ransom. So these are some of the lessons which we have applied during our COVID-19, and these are some of the defining moments that we've had in the history of our company.
Yeah. In fact, on the since you said that's been your most defining, one of the most defining moments. I mean, you were one among the very few organizations to offer the COVID-19 product solutions, testing solutions in India, and I think you were the one that had the most extensive portfolio of validated tests in India right now, Jatinji.
That is correct. That is correct.
So achieving that kind of scale and speed in itself was a defining moment in a way. But we would like to know how it was possible.
I think the success, if I would say, is because of the teamwork that we have had. During those defining moments, which is which cannot be quantified here. People people got together in spite of the challenging and difficult situations. They worked on these products, and in spite of me also telling them at times, please go home. They said no, we will stay back. We will work on these products until these products are commercialized. The second thing, which is the beauty of our regulator also, is that unlike the previous experience, now the regulator also was very cooperative. We got approvals so fast that we have not experienced that in the history of our working. So I believe that these were defining moments where everybody, all the stakeholders worked tirelessly, so that the people lives could be shaped. Because first wave it was okay, but the second wave had the most deadliest impact, and nobody wanted to have that kind of experience what one has undergone. I think we should not have that. So I think everybody understood that, and everybody wants today that we should not have another pandemic. It is not good for us. So
Yeah.
we have had that kind of a situation where it is built into our, those workflows, and in our systems, our SOPs, that what kind of a risk mitigation, because once we are aware, so we document it so that uh, we don't repeat those same challenges
Yeah.
again. We can have a new set of challenges, that's okay, but not repeat of what we have already experienced.
That's very wonderful. Too good. Jatinji,
Yes, yes.
yeah. Now I wanted to ask you a question about these Chinese IVD products that are increasingly coming into India. And so, what steps can we take as an industry, as well as a nation, to reduce the dependency on the Chinese IVD products?
Okay. Now let me go back to pandemic where we saw that
Okay.
every diagnostic company, and in fact there were new entrants as well which entered the industry,
Yeah.
and we saw that there were many players entering the segment which actually brought about the scope and the growth of the industry in the
Yeah.
eyes of all the stakeholders, be it the government, be it the policymakers, be it the industry, and be it the patient also. Having mentioned that and having made strides in that area, yet what we see is that 70% still of the IVD, products, be it instrumentation
Yeah.
or kits and reagents, is still
Yeah.
imported to the country.
Yeah.
Well, these are the hard facts, and we have to accept it.
Yeah.
And and again, as a strategy, we need to understand why these imports are happening.
Yeah.
And one of the things which probably we need to understand is that there is lack of component suppliers, good quality suppliers in some of the components. I'm not saying all.
Mhm.
Fortunately, there are component suppliers having very good quality products, but in some components there are none. So that's where the new government policy of PRIP comes into play, where it is coming forward, it is encouraging the industry members to put up these component, and start manufacturing such components. So one area is in terms of policy, then in terms of regulation. So it is so these tax needs to be there. Then in case of startup, so let me go into each and every part so that we understand how, not today but in next 5 to 10 years, we can have very strong domestic diagnostic industry, not only for the country but for the world as well. Now, for
Yeah.
example, when I say, we need to look at the local components, and over a period of time, the production of local components in the diagnostic space has definitely increased. Now, in
Yeah.
terms of regulation, I think the path-breaking thing was the MDR 2017, which clarified a lot of things with respect to IVD, and
Yeah.
the government is committed to improve the working in the industry.
Yeah.
But the challenge is the companies which want to export, they require some handholding by the government in terms of making sure that our NPR is aligned to the regulatory standards of the other geographies. So,
Right.
for example, one good thing which has happened recently is that the regulator recently has become part of the IMDRF. So,
Right.
as a case study, what the Indian regulator can do is it can harmonize its standards in Southeast Asian countries
Yeah.
and use and get success over there, and use those learnings to get harmonization success in other geographies.
Yeah.
Then I think we will do a great service industry because the market access will improve.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the present condition is that in case we want to sell to the world, there is a waiting period of at least 8 to 12 months for us to get approvals from the concerned country.
Yeah.
So this is where this support is required.
Yeah.
The other thing is branding of our country, India.
Yeah.
Now, you know, we need to brand and showcase some of the success stories, the good success stories
yeah,
of the companies which have exceptional products. Now
yeah,
that also will build up the brand India, that
yeah,
we have good quality supplies, and it will also help in making ingress in global north or in global south. Then if we fast track the novel idea, so like for example, if there is a really uh, a novel innovation like what they have in Singapore, what they have in Malaysia, or what they have in China, is that they fast track. The regulators sit on the table and they get involved right from the day one of the innovation, and they fast track that innovation so that it can be launched quickly and it can have a great impact on the society. So that
yeah,
is where such collaborations are required. Startups, as I said earlier, I think they're doing a good job. Only thing is we need to give them the direction, and that's where all the members in the ecosystem need to come together and support them so that their innovations can also see the light of the day. Or
right,
wherever help or support is required, the
yeah,
innovations can be supported. The
yeah,
other part is the technology transfer.
yeah,
Now, as far as the high-end complex technologies are concerned,
yeah,
I think still there is resistance or a reluctance by the global north to share those technologies. So what government has done with Apple, the same principle can be done in case of IoT also. So when Apple wanted to say we want to sell, they said they'll put up a plant and then you start selling a product in India. So that if that conditions, and that can be G to G only, government to government only.
yeah,
So that is something which is required.
yeah,
Then when there are talks about bilateral trade talks, so that priority has to be given to this sector. That technology transfer should be impacted. Should be affected, and that should be part of the mandate or given a priority so that we get access to the high-end uh, technology, and then that is where we can then start manufacturing not only for India but for the world. World is a big market. We can do that. Then we are also requiring some support in terms of handholding in terms of the financial challenge which some company has, because some of the companies are in the MSME category. So if financial support is given, that incentivization can be helped in scaling up the operations of the MSME company. So these are some of the things which probably will help the industry on long term. So these are some of the strategic insights. If done, will give us big dividends uh, in next 5 to 10 years. And maybe if you say that 30 to 40%, whatever dependence out of 100%, at least
yes,
we can start manufacturing. So that's a good benchmark. Even 30 to 40% imports, if we're able to reduce, I
yeah,
think that will result in a big saving
yeah,
for the government also.
yeah. Jitinji, another aspect is from the customers of the IVD companies, that is the diagnostic labs or lab chains, larger lab chains, as well as smaller one. But when it comes to larger lab chains as well as corporate hospital labs, do you think they still prefer the global brands over the Indian products?
Yes, so I think it's a very again a good question. I think this is work in progress. In some areas, the thought process is changing, but there is a legacy which is attached to this. So we have to understand the root cause, why they are preferring what they are preferring. And
Yeah,
if we go into the history,
yeah,
if you look at the central labs or a chain of labs,
yeah,
let's understand that one of the main challenges they have is the quantum of workload they have.
yeah,
So they need a solution which is able to process the volume of samples they get on day-to-day basis.
yeah,
That is where I said that uh, we need to, the Indian companies are working. Some of us have got good success, but it's still work in progress. So that is something where the workflow of MNC companies, because they have the first mover advantage, that workflow is embedded into the culture of the chain of labs or in central labs.
Yeah.
Second thing is the performance. When we look at MNC companies, they come with the CE label or they come with the LD label. So that is the quality tag they come with. So that perception of that the product is of a high quality, that gets ingrained.
Yeah.
For example, in our case also, for us, the quality tag which we are assigned is by the regulator. So once we are given the approval from SEDESCO or the drug regulator, we are allowed to sell it within the country. After
Yeah.
the validations, whether by ICMR or by a renowned or a reputed lab. So these
Yeah.
are some of the challenges that we have. So
Yeah.
the quality perception, then the trust fact. Because let's also accept the fact that the MNC companies, they've because of their first mover advantage,
Yeah.
they have offered end-to-end automation, and their solutions are stackable,
Yeah.
and within a short period of time they can from 1,000 they can go to 2,000, or depending upon the workload they
Yeah.
come with a stackable solution. We right now have not reached to that level of stage, but we have just started a journey.
Yeah.
Then they the workflows of these companies are already ingrained into the workflows of the central lab. So, which is a difficult thing to change, but it is happening. Then, even when we look at the assessors, like the auditors, when they go to these labs, they
Yeah.
look at which products they're using, and when they see that it's a CE certified or a FDA certified, that is the level of benchmark, and
Yeah.
this kind of reinforces to everyone that, oh, this is a good quality. And when we sell it, for some of the labs, it is an alternative,
Yeah.
temporary alternative, but they the perception, the underlying perception is not of a equal quality, but it's a temporary replacement, because the main kit is probably not available because of some technical reason. So
Yeah.
they when they use this our product, Indian product, it is a temporary substitute,
Yeah.
not the main substitute. So
Yeah.
these are some of the challenges we face. The
Yeah.
other thing is, we because we are price conscious, everybody talks about pricing.
Yeah.
We don't offer the complete stack of the solution. It's not just pricing. It is like your pre-sales,
Yeah.
your sales process, and
Yeah.
then post sales. Then to also have an engagement, a CME engagement with the customer, or a a customer orientation program with the customer on a regular basis, so that they feel involved. That's are some of the strategies which the MNC companies adopt. Continuous CME. I think we are understanding that, and gradually some of the companies in their value stack, they are now engaging with such central labs or chain of labs, and having continuous engagement with the customers, and offering better value to them. And we see that, yeah, this challenge is there, but the shift also, this perception gap in terms of performance is there of the product, but then this is changing. It's still work in progress. I think these are some of the strategic insights which I have also gathered. But if we incorporate into SAP and see if this can be incorporated, I think it will add a lot of value to the chain of labs or to the central labs.
Sure. Sure. So let's come back to J Mitra. How do you see your company evolving in the next decade from being a national leader today to a global medtech innovator?
Okay, I think it's again a very, very beautiful question, and this question is asked by most of the stakeholders that what you see, uh, what's a vision for the next 5 or 10 years. I have a very simple answer that we are in our space and we enjoy the speed at which we are in our space.
Wonderful.
Having said that, please, I also, with full humility, I tell them that do not take this as a point of no growth. We
Yeah.
are also in the expansion mode. We are expanding aggressively. We have, for example, one of the biggest plants coming up next to IMT Faridabad. So it is just, we are based in New Delhi, but very
Yes.
close to our corporate office, we have these plants coming up. It's one of the biggest IMD plants, I would say that presently in the entire country in terms of the quantification. So uh, I would say that, we are not in a rat race, but I enjoy uh, being in a space where I am in the present tense. But having said that, we are also open on newer technologies because that's where we look at what I said a few minutes back, building up of the legacy of my company, what my parents have done, but at the same time being relevant to the current generation, whether it's a alpha, generation X, or generation Z. We need to be relevant. So, uh, 1 or 2 years back, we have introduced chemiluminescence assay,
Yeah.
and and also the beauty of chemiluminescence is that the product stack we have is not what is being offered by the competition.
Yeah.
That is the uniqueness of our R&D. So, like we have, for example, dengue again test available on CLIA platform, and
Yeah.
likewise other solutions are available. No other MNC company has this
Yes.
kind of a India-centric solution. Now that
Right.
is where an Indian company prioritizing the Indian requirements can make a big difference in the lives
Yeah.
of our customers. So likewise, we're open for neo technology. So we have also adopted point of care testing for home test, which is again very personalized. That is also being relevant. And then we built up of the product stack here. Then we are also open on the molecular technology or the next generation sequencing. And then, so here also there is a lab, there is a CRISPR technology. So
Yeah.
at this stage, I would say that uh, I would I would say that we are still evaluating, and because some of these things are very confidential because these technologies are being evaluated by
Yeah.
my R&D team. So I would not be able to comment on it, but then we do evaluate from time to time, what are the emerging technologies, which are there. So microfluidics, or how to make rapid test 10 times more sensitive. And the technology is available now, wherein from the current gold colloidal, we can make it 10 times, even 100 times more, sensitive.
Yeah.
Those solutions are available. So always, from time to time, we keep what is the unmet need of the customer. So
Yeah.
we do, and I think with my as I said, with the new plants coming up, we are hungry for growth now, and you'll have to watch this space. We are doing this
For
platform.
sure.
People, customers have to see again. Second, see, maybe you have to bring me back again for next podcast to understand the future plans. Well, I'll
Yes.
be sharing, from time to time,
Yes.
what are the future plans and how we are making a big impact, not only me, but other, companies, domestic companies,
Okay.
which have a huge pipeline, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Being the president also of ADMI, I get access to certain technologies, but I share it, that information with our members also, and it's a space where I understand that there's a lot of evolutions happening in this space. So I'm very fortunate that I'm in this space, that I can
Yeah.
contribute, not
Yeah.
not only from my company point, but at the association side, being present, making a contribution, so that the industry can grow by leaps and bounds. In fact, I also tell my management committee members that it's us only. Suppose if they say that that the industry is going by, for example, 10x. So I tell them also that it's us. We as a company, and all of us sitting here, our
Yes.
company are the enablers for the 10x growth or 20x growth. So
Yes.
let's be part of this growth enablers, and grow, all of us, as a team here. So that's what I look at.
Wonderful, great. So, since you mentioned about your Faridabad plant, can you tell us a bit about it? Whatever you can as of today. Is it already commissioned? How big it is? What's the main purpose? Manufacturing or assembly line? Anything, something like that.
So I think it is more than 4 lakh square feet in
One.
terms of
Fantastic.
the manufacturing space. We will have automated lines over there,
Mhm.
and yes, it is going to be commissioned in third or fourth quarter of this year. I mean, and so we're still building up the teams and
Yeah.
getting the necessary things in place so
Wow.
that it can be deployed. So right now, uh, at the product level also, there is a lot of discussions happening,
Yeah.
which are the products that need to be worked upon in that space. But yes, it's going to be a state-of-the-art facility, and
Yeah.
it's a plant which is of the today's needs and requirements, because even in terms of sustainability, uh, it's the electricity generated by solar, by solar. Then
Yeah.
it's a zero discharge facility, which means there'll be no affluents which will be shared by the plant outside. So everything will be consumed in house. So that is the
Right.
level of technologies that we have deployed. So we have got light wells, which basically means using natural lights in the
Yeah.
bestest possible manner. So some
Yeah.
of the natural uh, elements, as I said, we are using, so that we become sustainable as per the requirements.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Great to know. And yeah, we'll wait for more information as it comes in. You know.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
and Jatinji, my last question to you for today is, you have been the leader of this industry, you have been leader of ADMI, and with all this, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs looking to enter the diagnostics and healthcare space today?
I think it's a very interesting question, especially for the young entrepreneurs. I would say that if you look at the startup space, don't go in for the valuation game. Be there for science and technology.
Right,
At the same time, make a specific contribution to the industry in terms of your innovation, which basically means that address the unmet need of the market. If you look at the disruptions or the innovations in the marketplace, they've always been the unmet needs of the customer. Like, for example, if I give my own company, so TriDot has been a disruptor because the HIV 2 was something which was the unmet need of the customer. Likewise, in dengue, the quality of NS1 is so good that it is unbeatable. And in fact, sometimes they compare the ELISA results with the rapid test also.
yeah,
Be in the game for the long term, not for the short term, like the valuation game. Be there for the science part, for the technology part, and have a team of experienced, you know, people who are from the industry, who also understand, you know, the regulatory part. Because I've seen that at times when the youngsters or the young startups, they make a product, they
Yeah.
forget about the regulations. But healthcare, being healthcare, which is a highly regulated space, they need to give cognizance of the fact that, it's a highly regulated, because we're dealing with customer and consumer safety, patient
Yeah.
safety.
Yeah.
So regulatory, what are the key things
Yeah.
which are required with respect to regulations, has to be part of your dossier. So
Yeah.
having somebody like a mentor or a
Yeah.
coach will
Yeah.
will be a big enabler for
Yeah.
the young people or
Yeah.
for startups.
Yeah. Fantastic. Jatinji, it was great to listen to you today. In fact, we discussed about quite a lot of areas within the industry. We discussed, of course, about your company, the industry, the technologies, future, equity firms, distribution channels, young entrepreneurs, quite a lot of things which we had your insights freely shared with us. I mean, thank you so much. And one thing which I really noticed and really admire is whenever you spoke about your company, J Mitra, your voice, your expressions, your those minutest, facial body language, facial as well as body language was, expressing, transmitting the conviction and into two pillars, if I can put it. One was your your words that you spoke of most times were unmet needs, customer orientation, meeting customers, hearing from there about the standards that they expect, even including unsatisfied customers, listening to them, all those things. And then on the other hand, you also spoke about R&D, IP, innovation, quality, technology. Whenever the aspect of Jmitra came, the if I pick the keywords that came out of your, out of you, these were most the customer and the quality and innovation. That's really really admirable, Jatinji. And thank you, viewers. I hope you all enjoyed this conversation. Please share your thoughts, suggestions freely in the comment box. And I would also request Jatinji to share his LinkedIn profile with us so that we can uh, put that also into the description box so that a young entrepreneur or a young emerging business leader can always get in touch with him and learn from him. So thank you so much, Jatinji. Is there anything as our parting thoughts that you would like to share?
No, no, thank you very much, Sangeetji. It's been very elaborate, discussions we have had. In fact, if you look at the depth, I mean, the A to Z aspects of the diagnostics you have covered. I don't think so anything you have left out, but you have taken the fullest opportunity, and I'm actually grateful that you have hosted me here via the Zoom platform. And I want to personally thank you and your team for having me here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll look forward for another opportunity to host you again.
So thank you, Sangeetji. Thank you very much. Thank you
Okay.
for having me.
Bye bye
Thank you.
for now, Jatinji.
Yeah, take care.